We always in our dreams wanted to do that.
Tell us more.
Too much information.
I know you all wanted to. Okay. So, it is my absolute pleasure to introduce to you our next guest speaker, Renne Giarusso. Renne has in excess of 25 years helping people to achieve their goals across a broad and diverse range of organisations and industries. Her expertise lies in helping people grow and develop their skills in behavioural change, specialising in leadership, mindset, communication and leadership presence. Author of 3 award-winning books, Limitless Leadership, Leaders with Influence and Gift Mindset. Renne is often a regular on radio, podcasts and television while hosting her own podcast. And she is also the co-creator of the team communication game, 2 Slides in 2 Minutes. Please welcome Renne Giarusso.
Just got to point it at the computer.
Yeah. All good. How is everybody? Awesome. So today I'm going to run a 90-minute masterclass. So it's going to be interactive. People learn by doing, not knowing. Who agrees?
Yep.
Does anyone know the percentage? If you go to anything that's an immersion and you learn something, what's the percentage of losing the recall if you don't use it within 2 weeks? Does anyone want to have a guess?
90%.
87.
Oh.
Winner.
All right, there's a competition on.
So communication is a big area. It doesn't matter what company level of leadership I work with. The biggest thing and the biggest issue that comes down in a lot of business comes down to communication. The latest statistics are showing that 86% of leaders and executives are citing communication as the issue in their organisation. Before I kick off, I would love everyone just to chat to the person next to you. Scale of 1 to 3. How effective is the communication internally in your business? Internally. So, like me, I only have 3 staff in my business, but it amplifies the need to have effective and efficient communication. Just have a chat, person next to you. 1 is not great, 2 is okay. Sitting around at 3. Awesome. What do you think's making that possible? What are the contributing factors?
I think it's led, and we have
processes in place. Yeah, definitely. Awesome. Was there anyone else that was a 3?
We didn't talk about it, but we're a 3 at Nika where I work as well. There's a level of trust between everyone.
Yeah.
We work from home majority of the time. We only have to come in once every fortnight, but everyone knows everything.
Yeah. That's great. Few 2s? Yeah. So I'd love you to make a mental note of if it was a 3, what would be different? What would be different for you?
I said it's 3 because, 2 because it's a communication's 2-way.
Yeah.
And often we get people saying, we didn't know about this, didn't know about that. And it's like, well, did you listen to the CEO update? Did you read the post that they put on Teams? Did you?
Yeah,
have you read
that's
the
right.
And so, I want to get it to a 3. And my team, our commitment is we'll do those things.
Yeah.
So it's 2-way.
It's great. It's systems, processes, it's wows, what I call ways of working. So having those crossover days if you're remote and then in the office, those sorts of things. So who would agree, I'm not used to having to point it this way, who would agree we're now living in the next normal of work? Who would agree? We've really gone through a change the last few years. We've gone from being in a room, I didn't take that photo, just say, to being isolated.
I feel like trying to get better too.
Yeah.
It's not the irony in communication. It's not. That's going blue. I think it might be.
Do we need
So,
to
that's
recharge?
okay.
We've got more batteries.
So we've gone to a virtual platform. Keep going. This was meant to be quick. I'm losing my Next slide. To a hybrid environment, and now, and AI's been around forever. Everyone that's going on about, oh, it's just got here. A lot of the things that are happening have been in play for 15 years, especially ChatGPT. So we need to re-energise the way we communicate. 90% of people leaving a workplace comes down to communication. Does that shock anyone? Or what people say, a personality clash, no such thing. Personality is the wrapping of somebody. It's what's going on inside, the motivations and the drivers that will dictate whether people click or not. So I'm going to go through a few strategies. We're going to have a bit of a breakout, and then I'm going to introduce you to our new team communication game, which is all about appreciating two sides of an opinion. Back to the roast.
Oh, sorry.
So, who questions what they do? And it sort of goes into the talk that we've just seen. Who questions the way they do things? Show of hands. Big show. Own it. Awesome. We need to question, or we get caught up being human doings instead of human beings, especially in our own businesses. There was a story years ago about a lady that made a lamb roast for her husband and her family every Sunday night. And one year, her husband said, "Why do I always have to cut the leg of lamb in half?" And she said, "No idea." So she rang her sister. "Why do we cut the leg of lamb in half?" "Ring Mum." "Mum, why?" "Don't know, ring your grandma." She rings her grandma and says, "Why do we cut the leg of lamb in half?" Her grandma goes, "Geez, I don't know, I just had a small oven." But I think it's a really good metaphor. And I read this story probably 15 years ago. I still can't find it on anything, so I probably should own it, but I didn't come up with it. So think about what is your lamb roast as far as communication goes. Does that make sense? We need to learn. Who loves learning? Yeah. We need to unlearn, so we need to actually rethink the things we think we know, and then we need to relearn and evolve. And communication is no different. I'd love you just 1 minute chat on the tables. What's something that you've had to unlearn and relearn the last few years in regards to communication? I mean, an obvious one is virtual, but go even deeper. What have you had to learn? Just a minute on your tables.
Recently for me, I've dawned on me that I can't communicate as a young person communicates to a young person. I'll give you an example. I've got two guys in my team. They talk over each other in the same conversation. I can't follow either of them, but they know what each other.
Who's happy to share something they've Who's happy to share something?
Well, but have you learned how to communicate that way?
Oh, I can. I didn't discuss it with the team.
So I was just saying that communication for me has always been a challenge, and it's really came to bear this year. I made the decision after probably 3 months of thinking about splitting two of our business units up into quite distinct operations. But of course, my communication to the team is, we're doing this, and they're all going, what the, why, whereas I should have consulted much earlier, brought them along, and it's always better, because then of course they go, Alex, stop, we need to put a plan in place, think about what we're doing, why we're doing it, and actually then roll that out. So we did do that, but I probably caused some unnecessary discomfort for the rest of the team by not communicating my thoughts.
But you've learnt from that moving forward.
I hope so. hold me accountable if I do it again.
I love that. It goes back to, if you read Simon Sinek, start with the why, basics of marketing 101. People will not buy or buy into change or an idea unless there's something in it for them. Even us. You go buy a car, there's something in it for you. You go to a restaurant, there's got to be something in it for you. Change and ideas is the same. And as children, who hated being told?
Oh, yeah.
Funny you say that. My stepdad, he was quite strict, which I look back now and go, that's probably a good thing. But he always used to say to me, Renne, what are your movements? Meaning, what am I up to? And a few months ago, he actually said it. He goes, so what are your movements next week? Are you travelling? And I got all. And triggered. So, yeah. So people love what they are involved in. They co-create. What happens when we co-create as a team? The byproduct of that is collaboration.
And ownership.
And ownership.
Yeah.
And they actually want to do it. There's accountability. So if anyone here is looking to get their teams to be a bit more collaborative and you're looking at bringing in speakers for an hour, I always say get a comedian, you'll get more out of that. What you're better doing is co-creating something, even if you've got an actual idea yourself, sort of put that to the back, let the team feel like they've come up with that themselves. Whether you implement it or not is beside the point. It's about that whole collaboration piece. We'll share one more. Who else has had to unlearn and relearn something in regards to comms? Over this side of the room. Yep. Bruce.
I was just talking, doing a course in how men, because I'm a man, yeah.
Really? Thanks for sharing that.
I had to learn that to start with, because I've been learning about that.
Yeah.
And I've had to actually really work hard to unlearn what I've been doing in my attitude to things, so that I could actually then refresh that learning.
Beautiful.
And evolve and actually become a better person.
Yeah.
So, but it's really going
It's a
exactly
cycle.
those things.
Yeah.
Now that, I don't know if that'll help anybody at my office, because nobody comes there except me.
We need to talk
I work
about
from home, so but if you ever walk into my office and I'm talking to myself, you'll know that I'm enjoying it because I'm actually doing it better now.
I love it, Bruce. I love that. That's awesome. So that's a great example. Another one is who reads, whether it's a real book, a hardcover. Put your hands up. Yep. So whether you read or not, I always say have a learn and unlearn tab and put them in your book as you're reading. So I read a book a week at night, so my clients don't have to, right? Not every week, but most. And what I do is I have what I agree with, that I go tick, or I thought that, what was new that actually shifted and challenged my thinking. And that's actually what I base my blogs, my LinkedIn posts and things on. So it's a really good thing to do as a team as well. Yeah, in your business. Okay, unlearning. So since the pandemic, in the wake of the pandemic, PEW research, which we access for a lot of different things, people are still 65% are saying that they still feel not as connected to people around them at work. And to me, communication is all about connection. Who agrees with that? It's a conduit. We're all wired to connect. Many years ago, there was a study done where they got groups of different size, like groups of apes together. They had 2 with 2, 4 with 4, 8 with 8, and 20 with 20. 3 months, they left them in a set-up environment that was the same for each group. Which group do you think thrived the most? They bred, they thrived, there was no illness in the group. Was it the 4, the 8, the 12 or the 20?
The 4.
20. It's an amazing, I can get the link for you, it's an amazing study on that, but we need to be around people, and I'm a big fan of, it's about the quality, not the quantity. So being around the right people at the right time and communicating at a deep level. Sorry about this, guys. Wendy, I might have to get you to, yeah, it's not working. That's okay. Oh. So communication is the response that you get. Has anyone heard that as a definition? Yes? No? No. So if you're speaking to your team or you're running something with your customer or your client and you're not getting back the response you need, a lot of people will go, well, Renne, it's their problem. I said it clearly. And I'll go, whose problem is it really? You need to shape and shift your message until you get the response back. And someone mentioned before, communication, it's a two-way. It's an exchange and it's an understanding. So lots of different communication styles. I'm going to focus a bit more today on verbal. So,
Sorry. No, that's fine. Sorry.
You're being verbal.
Oh, yeah.
So verbal's obviously phone, face-to-face. There's an element of it on virtual conferencing platforms. And then we have, you know, the written presentations, email, even chat in a Zoom or a Teams. That's a written side. Does anyone... Oh, it's up there, so we'll just go into it. This is a pretty old study when you're face-to-face. And I do a lot of work with teams around presentation skills, and a lot of them say, is face-to-face in real life? It is, but Zoom and Teams is classed as face-to-face. So these tips I'm going to give you, take some notes. I've designed a handout for everyone based on this session today, a one-pager, that will give you a bit later. So, body language is 55% of your message when you're face-to-face. So on a Zoom, always make sure you can see your hands. Don't be, you know, John the Baptist, just the head. You've got to be above. What do you think comes into body language? What sort of things? So posture. What was that? Arms. Facial gestures. Eye contact is the strongest form of body language known to man, except in some cultures. I always think of in Braveheart when they've got the two sides and all Mel Gibson does is wink and they go. Can tell a lot by confidence and eye contact. What else? There's something else.
Tone, your voice.
No, that's right, but that's in the 38. Your grooming, your dress, you know, right through COVID, we had cameras on, or you weren't allowed on any of our programs. And I used to say, dress to kick goals, not to watch Netflix. So your physiology creates your psychology. You've heard that. You know yourself. If you've got your Ugg boots on and your trackies and you haven't had time for a shower and you're about to go on a Zoom, you're going to feel a lot different than the other way. So much so that a company I've done quite a bit of work with in the past is Revlon, and in the Depression they brought out a lipstick called Fire and Ice, and it's actually a bit like what we've got on. It's still their number one colour. That was their highest selling product during the Depression because women felt they were at home, there was no money, but they had their lipstick. It's just a good example, just for the girls in the room. Outnumbered 38% is how you say it. So your tone, your pitch, your pace, tempo, all of those sorts of things. And 7% is the words. Does that surprise anyone? This is done every 5 years, this study, and it varies by 1%. That's it. That's all. So my thing here is listen to what's not being said. If you've got someone that's going, I'm really passionate, I want to work in your company. You know, look at the congruency of the body language and the words. Some people go, Renne, 7% words, so they don't really matter. They matter. But it's the whole package. Do you think it changes when you're on the phone?
Yeah.
Phone? Go one forward, sorry. On the phone, sorry, two forward. On the phone, it actually reverses. So it's 84, the next one, sorry. Forward.
Sorry. No.
That one.
Oh, sorry.
84% is your voice tone, 16% is the words. So the best way to communicate and build rapport on the phone, are you laughing about the breathing?
No, the picture.
Yeah, it's like, yeah. But match tempo, match pace. If somebody rings you, Faraz, and they're like, hey Faraz, how you going? And you might go, I'm not saying you do, but you might go, yeah, I'm good. You want to be a little bit more like the other person. It's called matching without changing who you are. The number one way to do that is to match breathing, which sounds a bit creepy, but you can actually match breathing. As soon as you match breathing, you match pace. Does everyone know that? Your breathing is related to your hearing. So if you're not a good listener, that's why breath work. If anyone does meditation, that's why you hear a lot of things, because you're in that present moment. Ella, what was that?
It was a giggle.
Okay. Yep. Can you just go back one? I just want to give you some virtual tips. Who's doing a lot of virtual presenting, meetings, coaching, catch-ups? What percentage each of your time are you virtual?
Now it's probably 30, 40.
30, yeah. That's about what I'm seeing across the board. Peter, what about you? Because you do coaching.
Yeah, probably 75%.
Yeah. Okay. Same? Yeah. So set the tone and intention. Some of this you'll know, some you won't. If you're the presenter, always stand up. Always. If you Zoom me for a 10-minute, that's different. But standing up will double your energy. Do you know how much energy you lose through a screen?
55.
The screen sucks 55% of your energy. Now, I'm high energy all the time. When I'm in my studio on a Zoom, my husband calls me popcorn. He reckons he walks past and I'm like, but I come across as I am now. So you've got to up your energy, so stand up. Another thing I've got there, camera on policy. Who has issues getting people to put their camera on? So what I've done now with all my clients is in the T's and C's, there's 3 things. And one of them is if you show up on camera. A few weeks ago I had this lady, she just wouldn't, you know when you go around and everyone comes on and there's one. And I said, are you at work at the moment, Susan? And she's like, well, yeah, I'm here. And I said, so if you're in the office, right now you're lying under the table. You need to be virtually visible when her camera went on. So create some rules around that because you can get that interaction. Yep.
Oh, sorry.
Next, sorry.
No, yeah.
Listening is another part. So communication in the whole world, and I've studied neuroscience, communication, half of communication is listening. Has anyone been told they're a good listener? Oh, you've heard that laugh.
I like the laugh one.
Hey, be proud of it. If you are told that, you probably are. You don't get told you're a good talker. So, a good listener, 20% of executives globally last month finished a survey, 20% said they felt profoundly listened to.
20%.
So, listening and hearing. This is the reason. We think at 400 words a minute, we speak at 150. That's why I might bump into Ella at Chadstone and go, hi Ella, and she goes, good. And I haven't even asked her how she is. So, have I done that? Will now.
Yeah.
But we're thinking ahead, and sadly, the first thing we learn in our mother's womb is to breathe, to listen before we learn how to breathe. Does anyone know that? So, and then we're taught to speak, taught to speak, and then we're taught to listen. It's a bit ironic, isn't it? It's on the book. So listening is a big one. And questioning with curiosity. If you want to be a better listener and a better communicator, ask more curious, open questions. So what are open questions? What's an example?
That can't be answered.
It can't be a yes or a no.
Yeah. So if you've got someone that won't stop talking, you go close questions to bring them in. If you've got someone that you really want to open up and elicit information and connection, open questions. So open, start with, I call it the 4 wives and the 1 husband. What? What, where, why, when and how. Or tell me about. But don't use that too often. So what we're going to do now, we're going to do an activity. I'm going to get you in groups. We won't get to everybody. But I'm going to get you in your groups in circles, away from your table. And I might get this group up as the example with me. We might do this first. Sorry, my bad. I was trying to think what we're going to fit everyone. No chair, but make yourself comfortable.
Grab a couch.
Okay, so I'll get you here.
Oh no, really this thing?
You know this one.
Oh,
Oh, God.
I can't wait.
Well done, demonstrator. Okay.
Another group.
This is a really cool little exercise I made up a few years ago at a conference, and what it is, it's about listening. So the job for the person in the middle is to listen. The role of everyone here, all you've got to do is ask me an open question, and I'm going to give you the theme. I might just get you a bit there, just so. Okay. So what it's going to be about is when Andrew asks me a question, I'm going to remember the answer. You're going to ask me a question, then I answer it. So I'm one behind.
oh.
No. Watch. Okay. Yeah, coffee. Holidays.
Holidays.
Okay.
Where's the favourite holiday you've ever been on?
Tell me about your favourite mode of transport to get to your holiday destination.
Vietnam.
Why do you go on holidays?
Plane.
How many times have you been on holidays?
To have a rest.
Do you go on holidays with the family or by yourself?
10.
What's your favourite cuisine on holiday?
Varies. And then I go big meals.
Well done.
So the job for the people on the outside is only open questions. So what, when, how, when, why, and then just keeping quiet. Did anyone notice my body language when I was doing that? What I was doing? What was I doing?
Please stop and then you move to the next one.
I was anchoring. So when you ask me, the answer's there. It's visual. Then I hear you. Yep. Answer's there. So use your hands a bit. We're just going to have a play, okay? So I'm going to get everyone up. Let's do the theme holiday, music, or food. Yes, food. Okay? So you're going to go in the middle. Everyone else jump up in their circles. We've got 10 minutes. Awesome. Who found that challenging? Bit good?
It's a national brand.
Don't want you to miss this, Bruce. So you can play that in teams. It's just a bit of a fun game. The good thing about it is the outside people are looking at open questions. We want to ask more open questions and one question at a time. Why do you think that's important? One question at a time. Yeah, or else you go, hey, how are you? How's your weekend? Was it good? Did you go to football? And all I want to talk about is the football. It's loaded.
Or you just say good thanks.
Yeah. That's right. Or you ask a question like this. What's your favourite colour? Oh yeah, blue is a thing, isn't it, tonight? Blue. Why is blue? What shade of blue?
Smoky blue.
We call that cobalt.
Like a jacket.
Yeah. So when you get a response from someone, base your next question on that response. Because we don't. It's like scatterguns or, you know, those tennis balls. So ask one question and then shape your response on the next. And the best interviewers do that, yeah? They don't go, what's your favourite colour? Blue. Hey, where do you eat? Like, you're just talking for the sake of it. So really important. And ask curious questions. Over the years, I've come up with groups, 391 barriers to communication that they've come up with. What do you think the biggest barriers are? There's just
Attention.
attention and attention span. It's getting less and less. The market's so crowded with messages. What else?
Language.
Language is a big one. Time, yeah,
Distraction.
distraction.
Hierarchy.
What was that one?
Hierarchy.
Hierarchy is a big one.
Is it an assumption by the communicator?
Yes, assumption, biases, culture, age, gender. You know, I'm born in Australia, but half Italian, half French, and I've been brought up on the Italian side that you see your family twice a week. Some of my friends are like, I haven't seen my mum for 4 months, but that's a and I'm like, that's not right, but it is right. It's what's instilled in you. Shelley Flett, who's a very good friend of mine, we created this game together. We've just released a white paper on the 5 key barriers to communication in business. And I'll give you something at the end, but it's free, you can download it. All the research we did, these are the 5 key barriers that have come up. Diminished connection in a hybrid environment, because we're physically not in the same room and we might have technical differences around technology. That was a big one, yeah? I always say when you're on a Zoom or Teams, focus on heart set, not just headset and tech set. That's my model. People go so out on having all the whiz bang, you know, this and slide decks, all this. It's about connection, so go back to that. Unappreciation of skills and experience. There's a lot of that, and with a lot of people working from home, they're not top of mind. Fear of speaking up, that was probably the number one. Why would I say anything when Brad's always the one with the good ideas? It's actually a phenomenon that comes in teams. You don't want high performers in your business, you want a high performing business. That's the sum. Mentally absent, you know those people you talk to and they just do fish eyes? And ignorance, this is a big one, this is why we created this game. Ignorance to diversity of thoughts of ideas and thoughts. You know, we did it like that, why would I listen? And this game gets you to see 2 sides of an idea or a thought. Are there any others that people are sort of coming up against or seeing? Yep.
Mumble. I
No,
can't
right.
communicate with you if you mumble.
Yeah.
Speak up.
Yeah.
Word.
Clarity, clear,
Yeah.
concise.
Correct.
Yeah, spot on. Sorry.
No, sorry.
So a big part of comms is rapport. So rapport comes from the French word rapportier, which means to click, to connect. You know when you just click with something? It's natural. Rapport to me is what I'm seeing missing in a lot of places. It's jumping on a Zoom going, let's get into it. Get on early. If I run a workshop on Zoom, I'm on 15 minutes before. I always get the odd few that come in and we just have a chat. Meetings face-to-face, get there a bit earlier. Move the water glasses so you get to sit in a place where you geographically can build rapport. And remember, we go in and out of rapport. So if you're in rapport with your team or a client or a supplier today, you don't know what's going to happen tonight. Don't assume you're back in it tomorrow. So how do we build rapport? How do you build rapport?
Ask questions about.
Questions? Yeah.
Conversation.
Common ground.
Use their name.
Conversation, use their name, remember things.
Ask questions about family in particular.
Yeah.
Yeah, personal. Sometimes personal things. And I think it's just taking the time to build that connection. We always have that person, don't we, that you just don't connect with. Who's got one of those somewhere? You will if you'll have one if you don't now. My little rule around that is maximise similarities and minimise differences. Because people that don't connect will whinge about the same crap. They're always around the water cooler. They sort of buzz around there. So focus on one thing you have in common. Some people go, Renne, I've just got nothing in common with him. And I go, you both work here. Talk about work. So you can always find something. I'm going to give you a little thing I call the 3 12s. Has anyone seen this? I've written about this for years. It's a little tool I came up with back in my Mars days. So a first impression there's debate how long it takes. I believe every impression's a first impression. And the average is about 36 seconds. The 312s is about your first 12 steps. Some of us are smaller. Your first 12 words will give everyone you're speaking to the first 12 seconds of how they feel about you. So if you're walking into a meeting, can I just borrow your thing? I'll give it back. If you're walking into a meeting, running late, going, oh God, guys, sorry, bloody traffic, sorry, I'm over, this will be quick. You're blocking your heart. As soon as you move that, your voice actually changes. So I'm not saying be Pollyanna. Australia's seen as a bit Pollyanna around the optimism thing. But it could be, hey guys, I value your time. How is everybody? Get started. What do you think needs to be in your 12 steps? Confidence. What else?
A smile.
Smile. Energy.
Looking at people, you need to look at people.
Yeah.
In the
eye
eye
contact.
Yeah.
Smile.
Appearance.
Appearance. What's that? That's a royal way.
Well, you never get the second chance to make a first impression, so that's it. So
I think every impression is a first impression. If you get it right the first time, you're going to set the tone. So energy, I always say be 20% up of the energy in a room. I do some work with banks, and we're not, but I have to go in, and I'm quite structured, considered, kills me. We get great feedback, but it wears me out because it's not congruent with my energy. Does that make sense? So always be 20% in a room, be above, and on a Zoom it's about 50%. Yeah. I'm going to go past that. Sorry.
No, you're
just for the sake of time. Also connect through stories. Who shares stories at work or lessons? Yeah. What sort of forum do you share them in?
All sorts, really. It's around influence, so it's really around describing what I'm valuing around a decision, for example, but it's where something's been impactful. I can generally transfer that by a story. It's just a better way to influence and get an outcome.
Yeah, excellent. Share your stories. Now, I'm not saying go in and it's all personal. It doesn't have to be. But a concept I just want to touch on because it's become a big part of a lot of the workplace culture I'm working with is the gift mindset culture, which is my latest book. And it's about being open to unwrap the gift in challenging people and in positive people. So I'll give you an example. If you want to take a photo of this, you can actually build stories around it. So, challenging people, who has one of them in their life? It's funny, my brother-in-law's the challenging person and he's a real bubble mindset, and I even wrote about him in my book because I know he won't read it. Hoping he doesn't read it. So, challenging people, I call them the Kris Kringles. So you ask for aftershave and you get socks. But they teach you the most. A leader, one leader I had back in the Mars world, in my corporate days, oh my God, I was banging my head against a wall, but he was the biggest gift because I started to study coaching and neuroscience to deal with him. He left, but I would never have done that and be doing what I'm doing today. We have challenging situations, they're a bit like pass the parcel, you know, you pass it around, you don't know what you're going to get. The pandemic, they're usually out of our control. And then we have positive people and situations. So this is just a little thing a lot of companies are doing. They're looking at a story in each and then what skills are they developing through that. So I don't know about you, but the pandemic was probably the hardest 3 years of my life. We lost everything within 2 weeks. My younger sister got diagnosed with breast cancer that was an unfunded treatment. And I was starting to write the book. I was like, God, what am I doing? But I stayed, the resilience I built and gratitude that I had my health. So, no, just worth creating some forums in your business. So these are what we do. We do Win Wednesdays. So what's something good that's happened, but not the what? Australia's a what economy. you've got to bring some how in. So I did this, it went well, but this is how I did it. Failure Fridays, which some companies are calling something else. So this, they are. This went to crap, but this is what I learnt because my lesson could be a survival guide for someone else. And obviously we have the 12 gifts that you learn from this mindset that you can theme around months, but this opens communication. You can do this in a room, you can do this on Zoom. Yeah. So, I'm going to give you one last tip and then we're going to play the game. So, this game came about, I was running it without the game, if that makes sense. So, on breakout rooms, I was running it. And what it is, we noticed a lot of people don't always speak up. Some people don't appreciate diversity of thought. And some people just don't do anything to boost communication. So we said, how about we create a game where we have topics and you have to speak for the topic and then against the topic without the table knowing what side you're on. And everyone watching can give you some feedback. So we worked out 12 feedback dimensions. This is one of them. Does the speaker mix up language styles? Sorry.
No, you're right.
So I'm going to give you a bit of to show you about this. So language styles. Some of us are visual, some of us are auditory, some of us are big picture. I just would love one or two different people. So Faraz, I'm going to ask you, what was your favourite holiday? And I want you to listen to how he structures this. And it's all good. Favourite holiday?
Well, I can say my recent trip to Europe was one of my favorite holidays. I think it was a mix of work and holidays. So I work for a company called La Marzocco, making coffee machine, Italian.
Amazing coffee machine.
And it was second time in Italy, but in a different situation. This was work, so I could see different aspects of Italy. Went to the factories and productions. So it was a very good trip, and Italian, they are very welcoming. Hospitality is one of the great things. So every night there was a dinner somewhere, and so full on schedule.
Awesome.
From morning to night.
Thank you. Thank you. So what did, and there's no right or wrong with this. Ella, favourite holiday?
Favourite holiday was also my most recent holiday, but towards the end of last year I went to India, which I'd always been wanting to go. Got to meet my family that I have there for the first time and really been embedded in the culture and things there. That was my favourite.
Yeah, perfect. What did we notice between the two, the structure of how they answered that? Faraz was more detailed, depth. So you talked about the what, you talked about the why. Does that make sense? So when you get an email from someone and it's detailed, my ex-business partner was an economist and I'm big picture. And I used to see his emails on my phone and it'd be 30 screens. but I used to forward them to myself and bullet point them, to read them, to digest it. I can do detail. But what I said was, I'll give you a bit more detail, you give me less. So there's no right or wrong. We all have a preference for both. But if, Kylie, if you're high depth and I'm not, and you're asking me questions and I'm just top line, you'll be like, what else? And vice versa. So really important and really easy to pick up on an email. When we get website queries for our business, that's the first thing I look at, is how it's written. Just remember, who would agree? Emails off here is different. I've actually got my bottom sign off is, excuse any typos, this is sent on the run with a little rocket. So because it's just brief and so people know. Yeah. And the last one I want to show you before we play the game is, we're all convinced of people and situations differently at work. Yeah? So I might ask you, someone in your business, equal job to you, has started. How do you know they're doing a good job?
That's a hard question.
Like, how do you know? Do you need to see it? Do you need to hear about them?
It's multiple different things simultaneously, to be honest about it. And there's a little bit of intuition in there as well.
Yeah, beautiful.
So you're watching, you're looking. I personally hate micromanagement.
Yeah.
So if someone does it to me, I'm gone. So I wouldn't do it to somebody else.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you sort of got to have little touches and
That's
things
right.
to observe. I have a saying, I don't mean to monopolise, but you're either watching the boat heading in the right direction, you're nudging the boat because it was heading in the wrong direction, so you're not necessarily there in it, or you're in the boat.
Yeah.
And usually if you're in the boat with it, the person's probably a couple of months before
Yeah, I love it.
going over a cliff.
Yeah.
So that's the way I've always
I
done it.
love that. Or they're in the wake.
Yeah, or yeah.
Thought of that one. I love that. So you're spot on there. When we've got someone new at work, or we've got a decision to make, or there's a situation, some of us will need to hear from a reliable source to be convinced. Some of us will need to see with our own eyes. Some of us will need a hands-on experience. I don't know how Brad's going, I'm going to, shadow him for the day. And some of us need to read up. We all do these things, all of us do all of them, as you mentioned, but you'll have a preference. The danger is, and I look back Mars when I was in activation and brand, I'm visual off the charts, and I'd be going into Coles head office with pictures of M&Ms, and they're like, Renne, where's the data? And I thought they were weird. Now I look back and go, I was young, I didn't know. So the key is every presentation, every proposal, always cover the four. So someone that's done this well, which I don't think it was intentional, is LinkedIn. So LinkedIn, the seeing is what? What is that on LinkedIn? Pictures, your photos, your SlideShare, pictures of your publications, whatever. What's the hearing on LinkedIn?
Video.
Yeah, and recommendations. They're written, but people do not do a recommend. I know I won't on LinkedIn unless I mean it, because it's on the World Wide Web. Reading is read more of his links, and the doing could be, I know with ours, sometimes we put things up saying join us for a 20-minute free whatever, an experience. So when I got onto this stuff, I was thinking, how can you work out what everybody is? You can through some of their words on an email. So if you get an email off me, it will always say, I look forward to seeing you, please see attached. It's all visual language. Yeah? So you might want to get a photo of that because it's pretty spot on. What do you think happens communication-wise if you match it a bit? Yeah, subliminal rapport. And remember, rapport equals influence. If you're not connecting, doesn't matter what you do, say, it's not going to go anywhere. Okay. So, we are going to have a look at this game, and I'm going to get a volunteer table. That's what happens when you sit in the middle of the middle. So, who here, I want you to rate yourself 1 to 5. Is able to see and appreciate two sides of a topic quite easily. Who's pretty good at that? Okay, keep your hand up if you are good at that and you actually express it to the other person. Interesting. Because what can happen, we have biases and all of those other barriers. What we've done with this game is we've got, and I've halved 2 of them, we've got 52 serious topics and 52 light-hearted topics. And they're anything from cats are better than dogs to there's no such thing as time management. There's blank ones you can write on as well. The idea is I'm just going to demonstrate with this group here. Got wild ones. Okay. This is the one we're going to do. We're going to do school uniforms. Homeschooling is better than classroom schooling. Now, there you all in your minds are going yay or nay. I want you to give me a minute. We'll just keep going around for it. Homeschooling is better than classroom schooling, whether you believe it or not.
We're just doing like points each.
Yeah, one each.
Oh, right. We can talk for a minute. It's, you can work around your own daily routine, or learn around your own daily routine.
Okay.
Every child's different, so one size one size fits all doesn't.
So we had to try different topics and personalise that around what they're interested in.
Cool.
Yeah, more family time.
Yeah.
And you've got control over them.
I know my kids best.
Excellent. So all for it. Now we're going to go against it. Homeschooling is better than classroom schooling. You don't agree with it. Why?
I don't. I think you, at school you get to interact with other boys and girls, kids your own age.
Yep.
You miss so much of the content if you do it. You really need to be in the content.
Very.
You've got educated, skilled teachers that are in a classroom who know what they're doing, and you have exposure to that.
Don't get the person in thought.
Oh.
You don't get involved with a lot of extra curriculum.
Yep.
Do you want to build a cult or change the world?
So, just for the first practice, you're going to choose a card. One person will be the speaker. So you're going to speak for it for a minute. I'm going to time it. For a minute, you're going to speak for it, and then a minute against it. And everyone in your group should not know what side you're on. There's one topic in here that says great leaders coach. And I had this guy in a group the other week, and he goes, that's bullshit, I'm not playing. And I was like, all right. I said, I want you to pretend for a minute that great leaders coach. He goes, okay. And then he came up to me and he said, I'll do a video testimonial because I've changed my mind now. So it's like doing a pros and cons verbally. So pick what you get in your boxes is get your cards out. You'll have observer cards. Don't look at those at the moment. Just two, you'll get light-hearted, that colour, and the others. More serious. So whoever's speaking, pick a card. I don't care if you go through them and choose them. Sorry.
Is one side.
It's green and grey, isn't it? Not.
Yeah.
So what's the green? We want the green one.
Okay, that's it. Okay, so someone here pick a light-hearted or a serious topic. Don't start yet.
We got to know what the topic is. We don't know whether he's for or
No,
against
you can
it.
show the topic,
Yeah,
but
okay.
don't
We don't
say
know
whether
whether
you're for or against it. Okay.
Oh, good one. Good one.
Okay. So
I think what
Because he's then going to fight the other side.
we're going to be
Just wait a sec. What we're going to do, guys, is whoever is the speaker, Bruce, whoever's the speaker in a second, is going to sit down and I'm going to say a minute for. They're going to talk for it till I say stop. Then they get a minute rest to recalibrate and then a minute against. Those of you in the cheat seats, now, I'm going to get you to just look at body language. Are they using stories? Are they too detail-y? How even are the sides? And just give them a little bit of feedback at the end and guess what side they're on. Yep? Okay, so we're going to kick off. The speakers speaking for that topic. You can show your team the topic.
Are we sitting down?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
Sit down now, Richard.
Just look comfortable. Sit down.
Am I doing this now?
Once you said go.
Okay, so I'm definitely a fan. No, it's bad for the environment. There's no reason whatsoever that you can't go along through a plastic and have a glass of water. the plastics, the transport, everything that everything that all the environmental concerns of having bottled water. Here we are. We're a planet that is undergoing massive change. There's absolutely no reason whatsoever, particularly in Australia, that we should be having bottled water in this country. And I totally disagree that we should. I totally think that bottled water should be banned. People come up with the arguments that it should be banned.
Stop!
Okay,
Stop.
that was a long minute.
Okay, well done.
So you were speaking for bottled water, you're saying it should be banned.
Those are the speakers.
But now you're going to speak for a
In 2
minute.
seconds, recalibrate. You're going to speak against this now. And keep your argument evenly weighted. Because if you can do this in a boardroom or in a meeting, it's a game changer. Even if you don't agree. It shows diversity of thought. So now we're going to be going against. Let's go. 1 minute.
There's absolutely no way that it should be banned. At the end of the day, we can be out and about, we're talking, and sometimes there's no access to running water. And if you're thirsty, you absolutely need to have water. I find that bottled water is so incredibly convenient. I can have it on the run, I can get it from the and at the end of the day, it's incredibly. It's just one of those wonderful things. We just don't know what germs are being used on the water fountains. People have been going to. I've walked around shops, walked around parks. They've got a water fountain, and it is disgusting. There's no way I want to drink that water. I want to be able to drink water that I know is clean, and it has been.
Stop. Okay.
Very close.
For the speakers, who found that easy? What topic did you have?
My topic was that high heels should be banned.
I definitely didn't write that one. Yep. How did you find both sides?
Yeah, easy.
Easy? What did you have?
I had not getting feedback from your manager means they don't care, so that was a little bit more difficult.
Yeah.
An apple a day keeps the doctor away.
It's just a standard Saturday for me.
Yeah.
Frogs make the best pets.
Frogs make the best pets. Richard?
Bottled water should be banned.
Yep.
Salt is better than pepper.
Cool. So there's actually wild cards, so you could put a project on. Does that make sense? And do a for and against. So now, just a minute, the rest of the table one by one, what side did you think the person was on? And any feedback around, you used body language that was congruent or whatever. Some feedback.
True. Exactly based on what you saw, the way he finally got it. So I actually think that you don't think it should be because I think you had both sides of body language and what you that was for availability.
I don't think he was against it either. I think he likes bottled water. He loves it. I think he's embraced it, tackled it to the ground.
I agree that the second summary was probably more well thought out. That's because I think we had to change to practice. I got a sense that there was a little bit more passion, more gentle first argument and the second one. More supportive.
He does want to shoot that. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I think the first argument whereas the second argument focused on the convention. It sort of felt like you didn't feel like you were selling the answer. So I
sit on the fence. I can see the reasons why they should be banned. But I also know that if I want to put the water, I want to be able to have it, and I want to know that it's safe. So I can understand both sides of the argument, but if push came to shove, I wouldn't ban it purely because of the convenience aspect of it.
So that's probably why the two arguments were very similar, because you didn't have a very strong feeling either way. And then it's a much easier thing to give to.
But here's the difference. What we're going to do now is someone else will be a speaker, pick a card, but what everyone else is going to do is pick one of the observer cards, not show the speaker, and only hone in on that thing. So here we go. Is the speaker effective in their use of body language? So Brendan, if you're up next, because I know you're excited to go up next. If you're up next, that's all I'm looking at to give you feedback at the end on that particular thing. So we need a new speaker, choose a card, show the team, and everyone else grab one of the observer cards. Someone else has Sorry, who's speaking at this one? Okay, I'll just go. So new speaker. Are we doing the time meeting or something? Okay, who's the speaker in each group? Show of hands. Speaker. Now, does everyone else?
Pascal.
Does everyone else have a feedback dimension?
Yep.
So keep that to yourself. And that's what's good about this is everybody's playing. You're practicing feedback, you're learning comm strategies, and you're learning two sides of an idea. Okay, I would like to just quickly hear speaker topics. Who's speaking here? What are you speaking on?
Plastic should be banned.
Plastic should be banned.
Bananas are good for you?
Bananas are good for you, it's my favourite. Oh, yeah. School uniform.
Micromanagement.
Oh.
Good thing.
Yeah. You don't have to. You go wrong.
Cooking is relaxed.
Yes, perfect. Okay, let's go. You're talking for it for 1 minute. Those of you observing, there's paper there, take notes. Let's go.
Let me start by telling you a little bit of a story that's relevant in my world. I'll choose the topic. Dogs are better than cats. I've heard that mentioned before. You haven't heard that?
Speaking here. Okay. So, whoever's speaking, we are going to speak for that topic. This is our last round. Let's go.
So I'm going with the dogs are better than cats. I think we're through that's already on that first minute.
Okay.
What's the subject?
Go on.
Dogs are better than rats. I'm a person that likes the outdoors. Go and take your kids for a walk around the block. I live near a Westfield Lake where you can go for a 2-hour walk, or you can go up the street and just come in there. And I like company. There's also around where I live, it's quite enclosed by nature in terms of forest and walk around. The dog's going to be a bit of a deterrent for a big male kangaroo that tries to size me up. I'm not about to be one of these people that takes a cat by the lead or carries him in a bag or a basket or something as I go around the street. They say dogs are man's best friends, and I absolutely believe it. They serve a number of purposes. That's like security at home.
Okay. Just recalibrate. We're going to go against the topic. No feedback yet. Now we're going to go against the topic. Let's go. 1 minute. Yes.
Cats are feeling you feed them once a day, no different to a dog, but you don't have to walk them. You know, I'm a busy person. I enjoy also from work and actually relaxing. I have to go out for an hour just so that I make sure my dog doesn't destroy my house the next day. I mean, cats can be as affectionate as a dog as well. You know, they'll come up and they'll jump around you and sit with you, but just relax. And that's what I want to do. I don't want to have to go out all the time and entertain. Be able to sit there and just relax. Cats are a lot cleaner than dogs. You don't necessarily need to find half a foot hole in your backyard. So your dog shouldn't have been a bit bored to deal with that. So yeah, cats easy to take care of as well. Easy to pass that responsibility to someone else if you want to go away as well.
Stop! So what I'd love you to do now is have a guess whether they for or against, and then go around.
So we need to say whether we're for or against. No, before we need to guess before or against. Is he for or against? So you're definitely for having a dog. You repeated your argument too much for having a dog. You couldn't quite. I agree with enough ways, and you repeated yourself more than
I thought both arguments were taking like brass very well, possibly very close to the sort. I think one of the giveaways for me was the way you began them both. The way you began the argument for dogs. You had some passion behind the argument. You began the argument with and that suggested to me that you didn't like it. So I'm going to vote
you don't give the feedback yet. Did he get the feedback in a minute? Which one is a dog?
Enough said. Yeah, it's not a dog person.
Okay, so now we need to get the feedback on
my best shot.
It's technically because you are the one
That's what makes this challenging. If you really believe in the argument, and then this is very difficult.
Yeah, that's right. I agree.
Okay, so on the feedback side, Pascal, so you failed. On my criteria was, is the speaker creative and curious in their approach? But no, you're really like technical.
Gives you those troll dimensions so you can feedback on any
I think both times.
Excellent.
Show my hands in the video.
Show your hands in a video.
So are we talking about the whole thing or just the game? Sorry.
The whole day.
Yeah, so video.
Yep. Awesome. Awesome. Over here. Key takeout. The cards. Yeah. Cool. And you can play them in 10 different ways. Yeah, you can get people up the front to go for and against in teams and have a debate. This is not enough debate in corporate. I see a lot of senior leadership teams are like, you know those little dogs on a dashboard? And they're all yes, 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 and then they walk out and they're like, that was crap. And you're like, say something. That's been a big passion of ours of the game. What about over here? Can you take out?
You can actually persuade other people that something you don't actually believe in.
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes. Yeah. But just having that appreciation
There is a wonderful video at Toastmasters winner.
Hang on.
There's a wonderful Toastmasters video.
Yep.
Of the guy that won the global Toastmasters, and he started with the argument. He was just about to get up, and he was doing his thing, and getting up and just about to light his cigarette. He said, "What? What's wrong? Why are you having a go at me?" And then he spends 5 or 10 minutes talking about the importance of words and language.
Yes.
And if anybody wants it, I might post it. You can post it again on my LinkedIn feed.
Yeah.
Okay, today, and then you can all look at it. It's a master of
That's awesome.
all about this.
It's a bit like the phone going off when you're facilitating. I've done that one and gone out and taken the call just to see everyone's reaction. I love that. I love that. Over here, can you take it out? No problem.
Yeah, so basically that you think a lot faster than you speak.
Yeah, we're out here. We're not wired to listen naturally, so we need to work on it. Thank you, Ella.
Making sure when you're communicating with someone new or a different person that you are going about it in those different ways, whether it's feeling or singing. Or
Adapting.
Bringing it all together. So someone gets something.
I always say, please a few people and change a people. Then you're going to please everybody. So bring in that scene, doing the hands-on and the reading. Haven't forgotten about this table.
I think empathy in listening.
Yes.
And having that skill to digest what the person wants to communicate.
Spot on. And empathy in Latin means feeling in, leaning in. So you're spot on. Thank you. I love this saying from Nelson Mandela. If you talk to a man in a language he understands, that goes to his head. Sorry. If you talk to him in his language, that goes to his heart. I'm a really big believer in embedding things, so just take one thing away, 1 or 2 things away from today. And what I've prepared, I'll go next slide, sorry. I've designed a, one-page insight jolt on today's session, because I've tailored this session for this room. So Wendy's going to hand them out. If you're interested, guys, we have 2 websites, but we have free resources, white papers. There's probably 100 things on there, all free if you want to download them. And also, just to let you know, we run a Cook and Connect retreat where you can come with your team, and we run workshops, we cook, we meditate. Sean Tucker over here, who's Healthy CEOs, he speaks on energy, sleep patterns and all those sorts of things. There's some details up there. Okay. Thank you everybody for having me today.